What's up? It's Adam here. I was just reviewing some of my journals from about 12 years ago, from 2014, still just plucking through these things. And I've got a lot of good insights from reading these uh, entries that I had written back in the day. It's very interesting to see my perspective and my mindset and the experiences I was having at that time, and then comparing that to where I'm at now and the way that I perceive game and going out and socializing and meeting women now. And so I just want to share some of those insights, and perhaps that will save you some time or help you on your journey in getting the experiences or having the experiences that you would like to have. The thing is that nothing is guaranteed. First off, I mean, I wrote these journal entries 12 years ago. It's crazy to think 12 years passed by. And then seeing some of the goals that I had for myself and looking at where I ended up now 12 years later. And it's important that you are not judging yourself or getting down on yourself, and take stock of the things that you have achieved. Take stock of where you're at. I mean, the fact that I've even lived another 12 years is extraordinary. Nothing is guaranteed. Tomorrow's not guaranteed, so the fact that I'm here 12 years later, that's something that I can appreciate. The littlest of things you can be appreciative for, and that can help you to put you in a better state of mind. If you're just dwelling on the negatives, then probably you're going to get down on yourself. But understand that every day's a gift, every moment's a gift. The fact that you even get to pursue any kinds of goals for yourself is a gift. And when I think back to some of the entries that I had, I was very sporadic in what I was doing. I was testing a lot. I definitely wasn't as grounded as I am now. I was, there was many times that I would say that I would want to go approach a set, and then I wouldn't go and approach that set. And I'd tell myself, okay, next time just go and at least approach the set. If you didn't approach the set, then just going up and even saying hello, you could consider that a win. You have to do the next best thing. Now, when I look back on some of those entries, what I would do now is definitely I would make a list of goals that I would intend to do the next time that I would go out. Because what would happen is I would say to myself, okay, next time maybe I could say this, maybe I could say that, but then I didn't make it a deliberate and point to go and execute on those different ideas I had about how I could have handled certain situations at a later time. Now, I still had that in the back of my mind, and I made a point of trying to execute on those things. But one thing I would do differently now is if I was taking stock of what I did well, what I could do better, and journaling my experiences, which I think is definitely a beneficial thing that you can do to help you to keep yourself accountable, to look back on, and to then see how far you've come to, again, something to reference, and as well as something tangible that you can later look at to say, oh, look what I've accomplished. I actually did that. I knocked off, maybe I was consistent in my actions for a set period of time. Maybe you're keeping track of that on your calendar or in your journals, but having something that you can look at to see the progress that you're making, and as well making little goals for yourself, making missions for yourself to go and complete the next time that you're out. When you do go out, you can say, oh, what could I have done differently? I could have done this, I could have done that. And then actually writing that down and making that a point of executing on those things the next time that you go out, holding yourself accountable. One of those things might be you say, okay, I could stay out till the very end of the night. Well, then write that down and make that a point of staying out till the very end of the night the next time that you go out. Or maybe it's, I saw an attractive group of women that I would have liked to go and approach, and I didn't approach. Okay, well, next time you write that down, it's like, I'm going to go and I'm going to make sure that when I'm compelled or when I see that attractive women that I want to go talk to, I make it a point of going and doing that. This is a way that you can do better next time. This is a way that you can look at as something that you are progressing in. You know, me personally, I didn't come, this wasn't easy for me. I came from, I lived at home till I was 28 years old. I didn't have a father in my life. I basically grew up with a single mom. My mom was also very mentally unstable. I didn't grow up in a home where it was a reliable household. Like, we moved around a lot. It was very unpredictable and unstable. I didn't grow up in a stable household. And basically, when I hit 12 years old, my mom didn't grow up in a very stable environment as well. And when I got to be 12 years old, that's when I really started to sort of recognize that, looking back now from my viewpoint, I was basically discarded in a way. And I had a younger brother, and he was then became more favoritized in my between me and my brother. The way that my mom treated us, he favoritized my brother. She basically discarded me. I was yelled at, ridiculed, talked down to, name called. So growing up, I definitely had low self-esteem. I didn't have confidence in myself. As a coping mechanism, I was basically the class clown, trying to make people laugh. That's how I sort of got to fit in, was trying to be the funny guy and make people laugh. And so I'd make friends in these things. And I went to many different schools, moved around a lot as well. And that's kind of how I made friends. But that was a coping mechanism. I definitely didn't have any ideas or concepts about boundaries, or that I could even more so affect my reality. I was much more victim mentality. My mom was much more of a victim mentality. We grew up with not a lot of money. We'd be going to food banks, and it was always about, complaining, or saying that, just complaining about the past experiences. Oh, the divorce I had, that's why my life is like this. And, I would hear these things, or complaining about people. And then instead of cutting those people out of your life, continuously going back into toxic relationships. So I didn't have a good example in that regard when it came to, having boundaries for myself, having integrity, being accountable to myself, as well as, as well as many other dysfunctional behaviors and things that I experienced growing up. So, that was from 12 years old that I recognized that. And then, I had it in my mind that I wanted to be a professional skateboarder. And that was something that I pursued until I was about 25, but it was definitely more of a outlet and an escape to get away from the toxic family environment that I was growing up in. Not only that, I lived at home till I was basically 28 years old. Part of the reason for that was because my biological father wasn't there, and then my younger brother, his dad, actually basically abandoned us as well when I was 12. And seeing that, I felt like I was then responsible for the family. I wanted to be there for my younger brother. I wanted to be like maybe the father figure that I didn't have in his life. I wanted to be sort of that the man in my mom's life, because I felt so bad seeing all the trauma and pain that everyone was experiencing at that time in our lives. And that's not healthy either. That's not something that a kid should have to take on. And as well, even before that, I was the emotional tampon for my mother. I was having to take on a lot of the adult situations, adult experiences that my mom was going to, and she would then confide in me as a little boy, having to take on all of these traumas that she was going through and that she should have been talking to an adult with, but instead I had to take that on. So I'm taking on all these things that a kid shouldn't have to take on. I was emotionally neglected. And, as a kid that did take those things on, you would think that maybe there would be some sort of gratitude or respect given to a kid, or at least that's what I would have thought. Maybe I would have had some semblance of respect and dignity, but no, I wasn't given that either. I wasn't given the credit for being there for my family. Instead, I was talked down to, I was ridiculed, I was, patronized and just not given any credit for me being there for my family. And truthfully, some of the reasons why I was there too was because I felt like I needed to protect my younger brother from my mom's mental instability. Now, I'm saying this just to say that, like, I didn't come from a privileged place in life. I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have good upbringing and perfect parents that were there for me and instilled in me these good belief systems or helped me to build my self-esteem up and my self-confidence. I had to learn all that for myself. And in fact, I didn't even learn about any of that stuff until I was about 25 years old, and I discovered the book The Game, and I started reading more. And even before that, I am grateful for the fact that my mom was there for me. I'm grateful for the brothers that I had in my life and the people and the family that I did have in my life. At least I had that, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't what a boy growing up needs. You need someone that's there consistently. You need someone there to confide in. You need another man in your life to relate to. And I didn't have these things. And my brothers were living their life too, and they didn't have to be there for me either. But I needed somebody in my life, and I didn't get that. And so I grew up with a lot of instability, which created a lot of anxiousness, a lot of attachment issues, low self-esteem, a lot of just dysfunctional behaviors and belief systems, and then growing up and having the experiences I had with various friends and these kinds of things. And once I did get older, once I did start reading, once I did realize that I was not a victim, that blaming circumstances will not help you to get up out of those circumstances. That's when everything changed. When you realize that you do have control over your life. Like, for example, when I was younger, I was more so looking for somebody else to put me on. I was looking to get sponsored. I was looking for somebody else to film me or to take me out and make something happen for me. I was waiting for someone to come to me. But what I realized is that no, you need to get out there and you need to make things happen for yourself. Nobody is coming to save you. No one is coming to put you on. Also, you realize too that there is a blueprint to success. There is a process to building skills in any area. Whether you want to become smarter, you read consistently. You consistently are doing math problems. You're consistently doing science experiments. You're consistently doing something, and that's how you build consistency. Repetition is how you build a skill set. Now I reached a quite high level in skateboarding because I was passionate about it. It was something that I just chose to do on a regular basis, and that's how I got good at it. But I didn't realize that was how you get good at something. If anything, I was more of the impression that you were more a natural at something, and that's how you got that you had skills. But as I then did start reading and I started educating myself more, that's when I then discovered that, okay, there's these concepts about the 10,000 hour rule. Oh, okay, if I want to build muscle, if I want to learn how to fight, if I want to be courageous, these are things that are practiced. Social skills is a practice. Social dynamics is something that can be learned. Now, for me, like with women as well, there was times before I learned the game that I would maybe be compelled to go talk to a girl, or, maybe I had some experiences here and there because of, just because I had friends or because I was reaching, maybe I got confidence from skateboarding, and maybe there was just some learning from, say, my older brother, or wherever I had that idea to even go and approach a girl. But still, I wasn't didn't realize that you needed to consistently do that. I didn't realize that rejection is normal. If anything, I more so took that personally. And then I would, from time to time, I would try this, or maybe I would be getting some attention from a girl here and there or something like that. But it was never me being proactive in my life. It was never me taking control over that area of my life. And that's something that you can do, is you can take proactive control over your social life. You can take proactive control over the women that you meet, or over the lifestyle that you would like to have. That is something that you can do. Although the end result, the fact that you maybe achieve that is not guaranteed. So then, again, what do? You have to have a clear idea of what it is that you want to do. You have to have a clear vision of what it is you want to accomplish. And then you have to know what actions you're going to take to accomplish those goals. Then you have to create processes and habits and routines and take deliberate control over those areas. And you start, just be consistent and take those actions on a regular basis, on a daily basis. Then you adjust those actions until you get the desired result that you're looking for. But you have to understand and know exactly in detail what it is you're looking to accomplish, what it is you're looking to have. Me, I was able to have a lot of the experiences that I wanted to have within the dating realm. And I'm very grateful for that, because that stuff isn't guaranteed. But now going forward, when I look back on some of my past journalings from 12 years ago, you have to be consistent in your actions. You need to take control over your time, over your scheduling. You need to develop self-discipline, self-control. You need to not make excuses and not let yourself be distracted, and know exactly where you want to go. And then you just stay on that path for as long as you would like to work towards that thing. There's levels to everything, right? There's levels to where you could take your social skills. There's levels to the experiences, the types of experiences that you would like to have. But there's also, you could never stop growing. You can never stop learning. You could never stop. Every single day is a new day to practice discipline, a new day to adhere to your schedule. And the thing is that you might have grown up in not the best circumstances. You might be starting from a negative, and you got to work your way up just to get to baseline. And then from there, now you can start working up the ladder. But like for me, I'm pretty sure, I was subjected to things like the golem effect. There's a thing called the Pygmalion effect. There's a thing called the golem effect. People are going to try to put you in a box. People are going to try to call you this or call you that. Like me, oh, he's so funny. Oh, he's so shy. He's a shy boy. He's a funny boy. No, you don't have to be whatever somebody says that you are. The opinion, that's the great thing about game. That's the great thing about when you understand you're not a victim and that you have full control over your life, over your circumstances, is that you don't have to be put in a box. You don't have to be whatever the opinion is of somebody else. You learn to value your own opinion. You learn that you have to give yourself validation. You no longer are looking for validation from others. You are no longer acting as if you do not have control over the people that you hang around with. You give yourself recognition, you give yourself credit, and you're your own best friend. You encourage yourself. You have to believe in yourself, because nobody else will. Just like my mom. You would think that she would have gratitude for all the things that I did for her, even as a little boy. But no, these people do not care. Nobody fucking cares. And so if you're going to do something, and I don't mean to paint a picture, I'm just letting you know that I didn't come from a perfect world myself. And, my mom also gave me a lot of love. My mom also was there for me, and I have a lot of respect and love for her as well. But it definitely was not an ideal circumstance. And so what I'm trying to say is that when you're doing something for somebody, don't expect anything in return. If I'm going to go help someone, don't expect them to give me any recognition or gratitude or validation for the things that I do for them. Just be content within yourself that you felt like you did something that was good and be happy with that. But don't expect anything in return. Don't expect anyone to validate you. Don't expect anyone to give you recognition. And that's why you need to learn to generate everything from within. You fill your own cup. You rely on yourself. You develop integrity with yourself. You keep promises to yourself. You develop characteristics and qualities that are likely to bring you success. You need to discipline yourself. You need to wake up early. You need to manage your time. You need to make sure that you're getting the things done that you need to be doing on a daily basis that are likely to get you the result that you're looking to have, but understand that there is no guarantees. And that's how you build a skill. You need to be consistently taking action on a regular basis. You're not going to reach high levels of skill in any area by getting a burst of motivation and taking a burst of action here and there. What's better is to maintain just a baseline leveled amount of output on a consistent basis, and you're much more likely to reach high levels of skill by doing that. Which means when you go out, you approach girls during the day, you go out during the night, you go to bars, you go to clubs, you're taking massive amounts of action, and you're managing your time so that you can go out on a regular basis, on a week-to-week basis, depending how serious you are about this, depending on where you would like to take this. Now, for me, my main thing over this last 12 years was just to focus on dating, was just to focus on my social skills, was just to focus on meeting women and having the types of experiences that I wanted to have in that realm. I didn't really care about money. I didn't really care about much else in life. Although, you realize is that you need money for everything. So it needs to be a focus. Money allows you to do the other things that you're going to like to do in life. And you need it for survival. So it needs to be a priority for yourself. Money, and as well as your relationships and your health. These three areas are of utmost importance, and you should be focusing on and maintaining all of these three areas because each one will affect the other. Another thing is that Tony Robbins, he would say something that it needs to become a must. You can't just say I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that. It needs to be a must. You need to make a proactive, purposeful, deliberate actions towards the goals that you want for yourself. And so you need to know what that is. You need to break it down in detail, and then you need to be working towards that on a regular basis. And no excuses. Understand though that wherever you're coming from, you need to just accept that and get away from that the victim mentality and take on, like in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, you just take responsibility for everything that you can control in your life, and you focus on that. I could talk about my mother and say that, say how dysfunctional she was, or what how fucked up it is that she would treat her own son that way, that even times when I would try to be, kind to her or give her advice, she just interprets that as that I'm actually being cruel or mean to her, which is messed up to put that on your son. And that's what I'm talking about, the Golem effect or the Pygmalion effect. And you can look up those concepts for yourself. But basically, you can't rely on the opinions of others. That's why ultimately you need to know that I'm trying my best. I know where I'm coming from when I'm doing something, and that I'm not that way. And people are going to try to frame you in this way or position you in that way and position themselves as some other way, that they're the benevolent one or you're the low down one. They're going to be patronizing to you. They're going to be condescending to you. And if you're reliant on other people's opinions, then your self-esteem and your confidence and the way that you think about yourself is going to be weak. It's going to crumble. It's not going to be built on a strong, solid foundation. And that's why everything needs to be generated from within. You need to take proactive control over the influences in your life. Read books. Be aware of the people around you and who you are allowing into your vicinity. And do the work. Nothing comes easy. You must do the work. Don't expect anyone to come and put you on. It's not going to happen. You are in control of your life. You are responsible for your circumstances. Now, another great thing though If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe to my channel. Also, I'll put some of my services down in the description below. I myself am there to help you, to support you, and I'd like to help you on your journey. I've been focusing on dating and pushing myself, going out to bars, going out to clubs, taking massive action for the last 13 years now. I got into this in 2012, and this didn't come easy for me. So I know that it is something that you can build. I know what it's like to come from a low down place and to struggle, and I want to help you. I didn't have that when I was growing up. And I know that can be a benefit just from having the right blueprint, the right steps, the right guidance, the better belief systems. This can help, as well as a way and a direction, somebody to give you a direction, somebody that's been there, knows what it takes to accomplish something like this. Hit me up, datingdestruction@gmail.com. And until next time, peace out, my friends.